Sean McVay comments on Matthew Stafford's contract situation, and the Rams are leaving Aaron Donald's locker open just in case. That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Getting so close to 13,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and do you think Aaron Donald will be back? Does anything change for you now that he still has his locker? Do you think he might return for the Rams? And also, do you think that the Rams will get a new deal done with Matthew Stafford before training camp? My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade. Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. And as always, I'm joined by the Rams pre, half, and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's entering his 9th season covering your Los Angeles Rams. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's show, are the Rams going to get a new deal done with Matthew Stafford? Will he show up for training camp without a new deal? And the Rams still have Aaron Donald's locker room open. Will he be back? Is there any new developments with that? That's coming up next. But first, this show is brought to you by no one. So let's get right into the action, Mr. Travis Rogers. So we can't stop talking about this, okay? Because until we finish the 2024 season, he hasn't come back. I'm still going to hold out hope. And Bridget Condon, the reporter, she tweeted out, Cooper Kupp told me they still have Aaron Donald's locker up and ready if he ever wants to come back, and that he's going to keep saying these backhanded comments in the media. I'm so happy for him. But if he ever wanted to come back, he's more than welcome. So if the players aren't shutting the door, I'm not going to either. Like there's more than a 0% chance that he's going to return at some point, and I still have to hold out hope.
This show is brought to you by you and I pining over Aaron Donald's return to the LA Rams at some point in the 2024 season. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
There you go.
Look, I don't know. I'll be honest. I was talking about this on my radio show yesterday. I'm having a hard time separating what I want to hear from what I'm actually hearing when it comes to Aaron Donald's potential return. Here, I want to hear, hey, Aaron Donald's changed his mind and he's going to rejoin the Rams and he's going to take his position. And the Rams defense just got, just 10 times better because Aaron Donald just decided to come out. That's what I want to hear. So in the absence of that, everything that I do hear about him is I'm trying to decode. But here's the rub, D-Mac. I don't think you have to be a cryptographer to figure out what's going on here. Think about what Les Snead said. I don't know, what was it, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago? I forget when he said it, but it was one of these, look, we're leaving the door open for him. We'll see what it looks like down the road. We think he's full. He said he's good. We support him in his retirement. But yeah, sure, if he changes his mind, we're here from him. He didn't say that for no reason. He didn't say that just because somebody asked him a question. Les Snead's a pretty smart guy, and he's saying things for a specific reason, I believe. Same thing for Cooper Kupp and what he just talked about. If they've got I understand there's a video saying sayonara to him and all that, and congratulations on your career. But these are the general manager of the team, one of the most high profile and most highly respected players on the team in Cooper Kupp, both leaving the door open. That has to mean something. It has to mean something other than, oh, we love the guy and we've created a shrine in the corner of the locker room. Yeah. It's not that. It has to be that they think what you and I think, which is, yeah, there's a chance. I don't think there's a good chance, but there is a chance. And I don't know if that's 1 in 5, 1 in 10, 1 in 20 or 50. I don't know, but the way that everybody's talking about this leads me to believe that they want him to think that if he changes his mind, there's a path back for him to rejoin this team.
Exactly. I think that if the players, where if they come in contact with him, they see him in passing, they joke with him, hey, you coming back? You coming back? That lets you know that, hey, if they're part of this, try to recruit him back and kind of unretire, that leads me to believe that, hey, in the back of Aaron Donald's mind, let's make it through a training camp without him coming back. Let's make it through the first part of the season without him coming back. I know after the Rams lost the Lions in the wild card game, he said he was full, but the longer you don't eat, I mean, there's more of a chance he can get hungry again. And that's what I want to see. I mean, I could see the headlines right now. Superstar Hall of Famer Aaron Donald to unretire to rejoin the 9-3 Los Angeles Rams football team for their Super Bowl run. Or what if Matthew Stafford calls him, hey, man, you want to go for another ring? Hey, man, this team could really win it, right? I mean, I think it really depends on how this team looks early on. And I know that Aaron Donald wouldn't want you to think, okay, I'm only coming back to go for a ring. But at the same token, you have to make it worth his while.
Well, yeah, and I don't think anybody would ever imagine that Aaron Donald is cherry picking like half a season. No one's questioning his work ethic. Like you said, you can see the headline: future Hall of Famer rediscovers appetite after football absence.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what it's going to say. And I think here's what we know for sure about Aaron Donald. For sure, like not speculating, not trying to guess. Just these are the facts we know about him. He keeps himself in immaculate physical condition. That would lead itself to potentially returning. He loves football. You can't play the way that he played the game and not love it, right? That was not just something he did because God gave him these gifts and these, he's got the right genetics to be fast and powerful and all these things. To play the way he played with the ferocity in which he played, you gotta like that. He's got 50 years, knock on wood, 60 years to go do whatever he wants to do for the rest of his life, runway. He had his 32nd birthday yesterday. He's a young man. Like these are all facts. And I just have a really hard time, to your point too. What if Sean McVay, what if Les Snead, what if Matt Stafford or any of these guys go, hey, look, man, I get it. We're really good. With you, we got a chance to go punch our ticket again. You want to come back and try this with us? That's a pretty powerful message. And I don't know what the percentage is, but they're just in the back of my mind, I keep telling myself, don't close the door on this. This is not closed. This man loves football, stays in shape. His teammates, executives keep saying, hey, I don't know. He's probably retired and good for him. But, if he wants to come back, that all has to add up to something.
Yeah, I think the good thing, too, is it's not like they're applying pressure on him, but it doesn't hurt to say, hey, if you want to come back, we want you back. Of course, everyone in the world is going to say that when it comes to Aaron Donald. And I don't think, like you said, it's necessarily a case of cherry picking or anything like that. But on the same token, I think if there is a reason for him to stay retired and not come back and join the Rams, it's that, okay, am I joining a bad team where I'm going to be double, triple, and quad team just for no reason? But I do think that the leaders of this team, I mean, you know how you are with your friends, man. You can talk your friends into stuff, man. Sure. I can talk my friends into Vegas trips. I can talk my friends into things. I'm not saying go full like frat house, sneak into his room at like 3 o'clock in the morning and just like, take him to the facility like that. But I think that continuously urging them, like you said, hey, this is a good team. We need you. You can be the final piece to this Super Bowl puzzle. That really is the pitch.
It's funny. You said something that I had never really thought about before that I think is incredibly important. They need to get off to a good start because if they don't, let's just play this out, right? Let's say that through 10 games of the season, they're 4-6. He's not coming back for that, right? Let's say through 12 games of the season, you're 5-7. It's probably not coming back for that. But if you through 10 games of the season, you're 7-3. Oh yeah, look, we're in this. We got a chance to win the division. We got a chance to be the number 1 seed. Blah 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 blah. That getting off to a good start just for a pure sales pitch to Aaron Donald, whether it's an actual pitch like, hey, here's our record, we got a chance, like we were talking about, or him just observing from a distance and saying, yeah, that's a pretty damn good team, I think is incredibly important. I never really thought of it like that, but that's a whole nother reason to get off to a good start.
It makes the pitch easier, right? I mean, maybe there's a phone in that locker that says break in case of Super Bowl, and break in case of Super Bowl contend. You break that case, you hit them up, and hey, man, we're ready to go. You told us to hit you up after 10 weeks. Look
Right.
at our record, come back AD. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun to think about. And like I said, I don't care how many times we talk about this, how many times we bring it up, until he can fight that body clock, that NFL player body clock, then I'll say, okay, he's not going to return.
You know what? I agree with you. I agree with you on that. What will make me just go, all right, let this go, just move on, get ready for the next thing. If I hear from his lips at some point during this season, guys, it's not happening. I'm not playing football anymore. I do not have it in my heart to go do that again. I do not want to play in the NFL anymore. I am still full. I don't want to do it. At that point, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Because even Andrew Whitworth in his first year, and even in that second year, it's always like, well, yeah, I could probably get back. Like he just left the door open. Now, he never came back. So it's a case, of it going the other way. But if he came, if Aaron Donald had a, I don't want to say a press conference, but if a reporter got in front of him and said, hey, you thought about it? He goes, there is a 0% chance I'm playing football, then I'll let it go. Until I hear that from him, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Totally agree. And you bring up the most important point, in my opinion, is that he's going to stay in shape. He's got James Harrison syndrome, right? He's not going to let it go. He's still going to be in top physical form. So when you have that, then there's always a chance, hey, you can slide in, you can get him back in the mix, and you can go on that Super Bowl run. So we're going to continue to manifest this and will this. Two
more words. Eric Weddle.
There you go. Eric Weddle for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Got examples. I mean, can you make the case Odell Beckham Jr.-ish, kind of like how that was played out. But coming up next, though, one of the big parts of this team, the biggest part of this team is Matthew Stafford. And Sean McVay had some comments about his contract situation. That's coming up next here on Locked On Rams.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championship is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and a whole lot more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. And with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you are looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers.
And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a big shout out to those everyday listeners out there. We appreciate you watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. And you can join that Everyday Listeners Club too. All you have to do is watch or listen or do both to every single episode of Locked On Rams. And guess what? Then you won't miss a thing about your favorite NFL team. But here, Travis, in our second segment, got to pick up on one of the biggest storylines during OTAs, and that is Matthew Stafford's contract situation. Now, if you don't know, quick recap, Stafford is seeking a new contract with more guaranteed money. Him and his agent have said that really hasn't been any agreement in place on a new deal. The Rams are happy that Stafford is at OTAs despite it being voluntary. He's still there. He's still being Matthew Stafford, but clearly he wants to get a new deal done. And Sean McVay was asked about it numerous times, and he was going to handle this well. He said, out of respect for the situation, we'll just keep it in-house. What I'm appreciative of is that he's here leading the way, and it's been a good couple of days. So he was asked a couple different times, and he kept basically saying, we're going to keep that in-house. Yeah. But my question is, he's at OTAs, but if they don't get a new deal done, will he be at training camp? I think that's a bigger question. I personally think they're going to find a way to get a deal done. But until we see a deal, it's definitely a question that I'm going to have.
Yeah, I think the idea of him not showing up at some point is real close to zero. Yeah. I do. It's as close to zero as it can be without it being zero, because quarterbacks show up. Especially guys like Matthew Stafford, who take a great deal of pride in being a team leader and setting an example and making sure that everybody is on the same page. So I would be stunned if they get to a point where he's basically saying, pay me or I'm not coming in. I know that it happens in the NFL, and quite frankly, it's not a big deal. We saw it with Aaron Donald. at various points in his career, and you always knew that they were going to get it done. So it's not a huge deal, but quarterbacks typically don't do that. I think I want to go back to the beginning of what you said, D-Mac, because you mentioned it's one of the biggest storylines, and it is. I completely agree with that. But I don't think it's a big storyline as far as something to worry about until there's actually the possibility that he's not going to be there. I think what would be stunning to me is if the Rams and Matthew Stafford go, we can't come to an agreement, we're moving on. Like where Matthew Stafford says, I want to go play for another team, or I want to go, into retirement right now. And the Rams saying, yeah, cool, we're going to go into the draft and find our future. Or we love Stetson Bennett, or Jimmy G's, fired up and ready to go. I just don't see it. And he's still a relatively young guy. He turned 36 earlier this year. That's not old for modern NFL terms. And like I've said 100 times, the everydayers will certainly, this will sound familiar to them. These guys are impossible to find. Matthew Stafford is one of those guys. There's like 10, 12, 15 of these guys tops walking the face of the earth that are good at this. The Rams have one. They're going to pay him. They're going to make sure he gets what he needs, because you don't just go get one of these. You're incredibly fortunate if you find yourself in the possession of a high-level, highly competent, much less awesome NFL quarterback, and they have one. He's not going anywhere. He's going to get his money. He's going to finish his career in a Rams uniform. I really believe that at the bottom of my heart, because the Rams do the right thing. They make smart decisions. There's not an opportunity for him to go somewhere else where he's going to be on a better team with a better head coach. It's the best result for both parties. They'll get it done.
They're going to get it done. I don't disagree with that, but it's just a matter of let's get it done. And let's also consider, can we do something different and lock him up even longer? Because like you mentioned, he just turned 36 back in February. If you look at that age for quarterbacks with the NFL, you can still be an elite quarterback up until you're 40 plus. And if you look at last season, he actually finished third in the NFL behind Josh Allen and Dak Prescott. Don't ask me how Dak Prescott finished second in this stat, but in PFF's big-time throw stat, he had 37 big-time throws. That tells you that he still has his fastball. He still has tons left in the tank. By the way, speaking of fastballs, did you know that he went to school with Clayton Kershaw? Just want to.
I've heard that. I didn't know if you knew that.
Just you never mention enough, but they're going to get a deal done. But you look at what they did with Aaron Donald in 2022, and we talked about Aaron Donald at the top of the show. They did the same thing. They modified his contract to give him more money in the last 2 years, the last guaranteed money. And I think you'd see something similar. If you look at his contract right now, $31 million is guaranteed for the 2024 season, but no guaranteed money out of the upcoming season. Still has $24 million in his signing bonus, $13 million with the option bonus in the final 2 years, and there's a $10 million roster bonus. So he's got plenty of cash coming his way, but in the NFL, it's about the guaranteed money. And when you look at the new contracts, $40 million in salary, that's 13th, but it's the guaranteed money. I think I want to point that out, that is how you take care of your guys, is you guarantee that cash.
That's the only number that matters. What do I get no matter what? Like you'll hear these contracts, they signed an $8 trillion deal. Yeah, okay, cool, with $8 million guaranteed. That's an $8 million contract. That's all that means. So I agree with you that the guaranteed money is the most important number. Look, when you hear it, and as somebody that's been covering sports for 30 years or whatever it is, I understand why it's a disconnect for fans when they hear that it's not about the money, it's about the respect. It's about the respect that if the going rate for one of the best quarterbacks, and I'm just making up numbers here, is $50 million a year, and I'm getting 20, like, what, do you value me or not? And I understand.
And I won a Super Bowl.
Yes. And it's one of those things, and they do value him, and they will figure it out. And going back to what you said at the beginning, D-Mac, about that big time throw stat, I have no idea how that thing is calculated, but I want to kind of flip it on its head. How many times has a Rams fan watched a Rams game with Matthew Stafford as their quarterback? And I'm not saying he hasn't made bad throws or a bad decision or thrown interceptions that made you want to pull your hair out, as little of it as I have left on my head. But have you ever watched a Rams game and go, we don't have a guy. We got a problem at quarterback? No. Has he had bad games? Sure. Everybody does. Patrick Mahomes has a bad game occasionally. Josh Allen Joe Burrow has a bad game. It happens. But since he walked into that building, have you watched a Rams game and thought, yeah, we got a problem at quarterback? Not one single time when Matthew Stafford's been on that field.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it passes the eye test. And yeah, I know there's some advanced analytics and I'm into that stuff, but big time throw, it's just you see a big time throw and you go, man, that was a big time throw. That's all you do. You know, like there's nothing to
Mark it down.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all it takes. But really, I would be totally fine with them locking up Matthew Stafford up until age 40 and giving him $50 million a year. I hope we see that kind of announcement, especially when we look at the investment they made in the offensive line, the commitment to the running game. I still think that, like you said, these guys don't grow on trees. There's about 10 to possibly 12 of them that could win a Super Bowl on any given year, and the Rams have a top 5 guy still, in my opinion. But coming up, I was just going
to say, and when was the last time the Rams lost out on a guy over money that they wanted to keep?
Yeah, no, exactly. They pay guys that they love. They don't pay guys they like. If they love you, they'll pay you. If they like you, they'll let you walk. So I totally agree. When it comes to the talent that they know is hard to acquire, they're going to pay you. And the quarterback in the NFL is certainly a premium position, and they got their guy, Matthew Stafford. But just want to see my guy get paid. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I want to see this kind of behind them and add further stability to the whole Aaron Donald pitch. You know what I mean? So
they will.
They absolutely will. I totally agree. But coming up next, we're talking about Tre'davious White and more storylines you have to know during Rams OTAs.
How nice would it be if you could take all of your investment and retirement accounts and all of your financial, information and put it in one place? You can. Yahoo Finance. With Yahoo Finance, you can consolidate your views from multiple accounts into one hub and access the expert analysis that you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. You don't have to think, okay, I got this account over here, I got that account over here. You can leave the accounts where they are, but everything is right in front of you. Let's get right to it, right? You want to grow your portfolio to deal with the rising costs of inflation, to pay off debt, your mortgage, pretty much anything standing in the way of you and being financially independent, right? This is where Yahoo Finance comes in. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. They're the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, and so much more. So for comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination. yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Travis, here in our third segment, a quick one on Tre'davious White. So I think if you look at the storylines, if you're listening to Sean McVay after practice, listening to Chris Shula, one name I'm very interested to get an update on is Tre'davious White, because I think he's one of the big X factors. When we're talking about a guy that's a legitimate Pro Bowler, a legitimate all-pro level player, but he's missed significant time. He's coming back from an Achilles injury, and he's played in 10 games in the last 2 years, an ACL and Achilles. But if he's fully healthy, he'd be a major game changer for this Rams defense.
I think you're right. I think of all of the players that they've drafted, the players that they've acquired on both sides of the ball, I think the guy that could be the one that goes, they got a steal.
Yeah.
They won the offseason with this player is Tre'davious White. He's also the guy that could play in 4 games. And we never even say his name. The variance of what you might get from him is massive. When he plays, he's terrific. He's just had the injury bug. He just hasn't been able to stay on the field in a way that you would like him to. When he has, there's no complaints about his ability. There's no complaints about what he can do. So again, this is a team-friendly deal. This is a show-me sort of situation where it's in everybody's best interest that he's on the field as often as possible. And if he's just your typical Tre'davious White, he's going to be really good. If he's the guy that's missed a lot of games, then you're searching. You're going through that cavalcade or carousel, I should say, of potential defensive backs along the way. But if he's good, they got a guy.
Exactly. And anytime you're coming back from an Achilles injury, it's going to take some time. We saw with Cam Akers a few years ago how quickly he came back from that. But he's still an athlete. He's still someone who's 29 years old. When I look at these injuries, it's how old are you when you come back, right? How much of your athletic prime do you still have in you? I still think that there's a world where he comes back and he's motivated as ever to put together a fully healthy season where he's one of the best at his position and go out there and get paid. I mean, the fact that he did have those injuries, he has that history, that's why the Rams were able to get him on this deal. And that's why, as you said, he could be one of the steals of the offseason.
Yeah, like you said, I think his age is a big. If he were 34 at that position, coming off of that injury, you're like, I don't know.
Exactly.
But he's still in his 20s, late 20s, and this may be like a year or two just before you would say, I don't want to do that. But I think they're on the right side of it. He certainly has the ball skills. You and I have talked about this a lot. The everydayers will remember this as well. One of the things that the Rams struggled with defensively last year was taking the ball away, right? Was getting more possessions than the opposition of interceptions, fumble recoveries, blocks, things like this. He takes the ball away. He's a game changer. He's a playmaker. He's one of those guys that is going to, he might give up one here or there, but he's going to get his fair share of interceptions along the way. That's something the Rams desperately need. And if he can bring that, again, this is another one of those things that they're going to have to get a little better incrementally all over the place if Aaron Donald is not back. And, let's be honest, as much as it, would disappoint us, the odds are he's not coming back. You're going to need to get better everywhere else in that defense, including a corner.
Totally agree. And we've seen in recent years that there's been players that have come to the Rams that they've elevated after they're coming off of injuries or coming off down years. You had Keller Witherspoons, even the trade for Kevin Dotson, you put him in a better situation. I think it's going to be this year's version of one of those guys. He's going to put together a really nice season, and he's going to get paid. If that's the Rams, that's great because that means they love him. But I think he's going to put together a really nice season, be a big game changer. Just a matter of health, as you mentioned. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And you can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.